send you this intro music.com. Like, this is nice. This is like, you're pumped up, man, ready to run.
Yeah, on my end, it was just you dancing by yourself with no audio, so it was very weird to watch.
Yeah, I gotta get that. If we're gonna make an intro, that's it. Copyright free music, sound straight, crisp.
Crispy.
All right. Sorry, guys. We'd like to apologize first for not doing it yesterday. I made a boo-boo and messaged Taylor 2 minutes before the show's supposed to start, and then I fell right back asleep. So, my apologies. What can I say? You know, you're cuddling in bed with your wife, just kind of fall asleep.
Mm-hmm. Excuses. That's all I'm hearing is excuses. You know,
I know.
We're not talking about practice, okay? We're talking about the real show. We ain't talking about practice.
This is the booth.
Welcome to the booth.
So, before we get into the college football playoffs and talking about all those wonderful games, you can see the hat. It's a glorious day. DJ Lagway, 2024, number 2 quarterback, commits to the Gators. I saw Taylor in there going, "Go Gators, go chomp chomp." Even though he could have went to Oklahoma, he threw Oklahoma under the bus.
Yeah, I'll throw Oklahoma under the bus every once in a while for the benefit of family. You know, we already have a nice quarterback coming in, five-star quarterback. I think it just recently came out that he was now a 5-star. So I think we're set. I know Florida needs a QB because as of right now they're pretty depleted, and Lagway is a one of a kind. So if you guys can snag him, go for it. You know, I'd rather see him go there than go to Texas A&M where he's not going to shine because he's not going to have anybody to play with. And
I was shocked that he spurred Lincoln Riley. Billy Napier spurred Lincoln Riley, the quote-unquote quarterback whisperer of the nation, for top quarterback, which was...
Well, I don't think it was just Napier. I think that you guys, all of your coaches are extremely personable. They actually, touch base with these players rather than be like, "Hey, our facility, mint, okay?
Mint.
Like that's what we got going on over here." They come in and be like,
mint.
They come in and they're like, "Look, we are here to progress you in your career. You know, we're here to try and set you up for the NFL so you can go in and get drafted high, go to a good team, and be successful for the rest of your career." Yeah. I think USC is kind of like, we're going to try and win a playoff game or make it to the playoffs or right before the playoffs and then lose because we have no idea how to run a defense.
Yeah. Shot thrown at Lincoln there.
Yeah, that was more towards Grinch than anybody else.
There we go. You know, Grinch stole Christmas. Grinch stole playoff spots. Hopes.
Yeah.
No,
you can have an offense that is explosive, but once you have that defense that allows points like that, I mean.
Yeah. I'm excited. I'm excited about Lagway, obviously. We have Rashada now. We have Lagway, the month span to get elite quarterback to potentially even more elite quarterback in Lagway. I think Rashada's got all the gifts. Kind of reminds me, Rashada reminds me a little bit of Chris Leak. Has a little bit of running ability, but has a great touch on the passes, kind of like Chris Leak in the Florida days. And then you got Lagway, who is more of that bigger arm, able to run a little better. Kind of quarterback in Timothy Tebow. I don't know. I'm just throwing it out in the atmosphere. That's all I'm going to say on that one. All right.
Don't put that on that man.
Well, he said when he wants to come to Florida, the reason why he chose Florida is because, one, he loved the SEC environment compared to, obviously, the Pac-12.
Yeah.
And then he wants to be the greatest Florida player to ever touch the Swamps field. So
I mean that you're going up against some of the greats.
Percy Harvin, Timothy Tebow, you got Danny Warfel, Smith and stuff. So yeah. So it's definitely a tall task. I think he's up for the challenge. He definitely has the tools around him. He's also going to be playing baseball at Florida, which is a top 5 baseball program in the nation. So I think that kind of helped his recruitment. USC baseball team kind of threw a late-ditched effort to help Lincoln Riley to get him on the baseball team. But when it came down to having a top football program, education, environment, and baseball team where he's going to be doing both, I think Florida just won out. And like you said, Napier's a little more personable than, say, maybe a Lincoln Riley, who's just going to say, hey, I can get you to the league and coach you up. He said that Napier's big thing was family and trying to make him a better man off the field as well as on the field. So that kind of touched home for him. He also said he knew he was going to Florida by the second visit, which I think was a couple months ago, so before he even went to go see Caleb Williams and them dominate that game. So that's pretty big up. I can't talk. Pretty big get up for Napier and crew. Anyways, let's talk college football, Taylor. Well, we kind of talked, obviously, still college football, but the college football playoffs, it came down to Bama and TCU for that final spot. Ohio State snuck their way back in, and Nick Saban basically said, why should you get the spot? He says, because we're Alabama. That's basically just what he said. We're Alabama. Why shouldn't we? And then, of course, Max Duggan had his tearful, please let us in, very passionate speech that USC Caleb Williams kind of took a shot at and then retracted it on Twitter and said, no, this wasn't that, Max. I just think that it, side note. But, yes. So, obviously the committee listened to TCU. They only have one loss. Good on them. Do I think Alabama's a better team than TCU?
Yes.
There we go. That's I was waiting for that one. Yes, of course Alabama's better than TCU, but I don't think you can punish a team. Like we both said, I don't think you can punish a team that was in the championship game to a team that watched it from home.
Yeah.
So
Alabama has never been in the question for me, or they've never been on my radar. There's not a single time once they got their second loss where I was like, they still have a chance to make the college football playoffs. It's just not there. You have two losses. Everyone in front of you has 1 or 0 losses. TCU now only has 1, so they deserve to be in there because USC's out. That opened up the door for Ohio State. They have 1 loss, so they deserve that 4 spot. Yeah. I think it was the right move of keeping TCU at 3 because USC lost and pushing Ohio State in. I don't see this whole we're Bama, so we deserve to be in because we've been elite. Yes. It is, but I think this is only the second time they haven't made it in. So I guess you kind of earn the right to be a little cocky and saying we're Bama, we deserve to be in. You've got 2 losses this year. You don't deserve to be in. Sorry.
And if you bring up the 2 teams, and it comes down to it, Bama or TCU, is Bama better than TCU? Yes. Yeah. But you can only judge off common opponents or strength of schedule. Well, this year, TCU and Alabama played a Texas Longhorn team. Bama played when Quinn Ewers was hurt and almost lost to the backup of Texas.
I think it was by a field goal they won.
Yeah. And then TCU absolutely dominated Texas with Quinn Ewers in, who at the time was playing top-notch football. He still, it was his freshman season, so he still has a chance to kind of turn it around. He did kind of fizzle out there at the end. But so when you look at it, TCU has to be in because they dominated a team that they both played, which on paper you'd be like, okay, TCU's a better team. Now, eye test tells me, and it tells you and probably all of America that Bama is the better team. It's hard to say that TCU's a better team when Bama's stocked with 4 and 5 stars out the wazoo, and TCU is not. But yeah, I think TCU was a good fit in the college football playoffs. Do they get dominated? Maybe. We'll see. The bowl games are coming up. So we're going to talk about some of those games right here. We got UGA versus Ohio State, and then we have Michigan versus TCU. So we'll start with that first game. I want to get your thoughts on it, and then I want you, at the end of your thoughts, tell me who you got. So we're going to go UGA versus Ohio State.
I think this is going to be a straight-up defense. If you don't have a good defense going up against Georgia, you're screwed. And OSU needed defense against Michigan, and they didn't have it. You see what happened. They got destroyed. So they need to focus on their defense, the run game. Actually, not even their run game, because against Michigan, I think every single touchdown Michigan had was like a 46-yard pass or more. Every single touchdown that they had. They need to work on that if they're going to even have a chance against Georgia. With that said, I think Georgia's everything they've done this entire season has worked perfectly for them. I think Stinson Bennett's going to show up and show off, and I think they're going to beat OSU by 10. I think it's going to be a good
A
game.
10-point spread. Look at that.
10 point. I think Ohio State's eager to show why they deserve to be in the college football playoffs. But I think Georgia, I think they win it all, so I'm taking Georgia on this. I just don't see them losing to Ohio State.
I think right now the only team that could put up a battle against Georgia is Michigan.
Yes.
That being said, I think Ohio State's going to put up a better fight than most people think. I think Georgia has a better defense. But Ohio State's offense, we all know, is electric when they can get going. They have Marvin Harrison Jr. and company. C.J. Stroud's going to be a top pick in the NFL draft. The issue here is now Jackson, the other star wide receiver for Ohio State, has opted out of the bowl game and the rest of the season to go with NFL, which makes to me, I get opting out of a bowl game when your team is, it's a crap bowl game. It's kind of just a toss-up bowl game. But when you're in the college football playoffs and you're one of their top players, it's not like he was like a bench warmer who's like, hey, I'm screw it, I'm going to the NFL. This is one of their top players. And last year, people were saying that he was better than Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave, who went in the first round, and he's projected to go the first round. So it's crazy to me that the fact that he just gave up on his team. He's like, it's very selfish, in my opinion. I understand you want to stay healthy, get your bread, go to the NFL. I get that. But you don't do that when you're in the college football playoffs playing for a natty. You're letting your teammates down. And I think that's going to, at the end of the day, hurt Ohio State against this Georgia team who has a top-notch offense and defense, especially on that defensive side with Jalen Carter and company.
I understand, like you said, whenever, like, we'll take this game, the Oklahoma game, the Cheez-Its Bowl. Opt out. Go for it. It's the Cheez-Its Bowl. Like, it holds no merit whatsoever. Yeah. But you came to play college football. Like, the main goal of college football is to win
a national championship.
Everything.
Yeah.
All of it. And the only way to do that is to play these playoff games. I just don't see why you would play the entire season and then opt out when it's in the playoffs. Like, it just makes no sense to me. This is what college football is about, I guess, unless the only thing you care about is making it to the NFL.
Yeah.
Cool. But to me, you're giving up on the team. You're giving up on the sport. You're giving up on your coaches, fans, and everything like that. It just doesn't look good to me. Like, if I'm a GM, I want to see these players try and win, try and get a national championship, not just be like, all right, well, it's the end of the season, I'm done. I'm just going to go gear up for the NFL because that's all I care about is making some money. I don't like it. If it's one of those lower end games like the Cheez-Its Bowl or the Pepsi Bowl or Las Vegas Bowl or Charmin Toilet Paper Bowl, whatever it is, yeah, opt out of those. We get it because you can't win a national championship. So go ahead, opt out. Don't risk the injury.
Yeah.
Gear up for next season or gear up for the portal, gear up for the NFL draft, whatever it is. That's perfectly fine. But whenever it's a playoff game for the national championship, I fully expect each and every single player to participate. And if they don't, to me, that looks bad.
Yeah, it's definitely selfish on Jackson's part. Again, because not only is he a stud, but he's a star player for Ohio State. So going against this Georgia team, Ohio State's going to need all the ammunition they can get. Marvin Harrison's a great receiver. He'll probably win the Blitnikoff, but he can't do it all by himself. And to me, this would help Jackson's stock. He's already going to be a first-round pick, probably top 15, top 10 to 15 pick. This could catapult him to top 7. I don't think top 5 because the top 5 teams are looking at quarterback and defensive lineman in this draft. With Jalen Carter, C.J. Stroud, Bryce Young, et cetera, Will Levis. But it could help him get money. I understand you don't want to get hurt, and because of that, I just as a teammate, I think that'd be selfish. Like to look at him and be like, "Yo, I thought we were in it, till the end, especially if we made the playoffs, and now you're dipping on us." It just makes me want to take Georgia even more, to be honest. So I'm going to go Georgia over Ohio State. You said 10-point spread. I'm going to do 17. I'm going to do a 17-point spread Georgia way. Stetson Bennett has been playing good. I don't think he's Heisman caliber. Like, they put him in the top 5. They invited him for the Heisman. I think Hendon Hooker and Blake Corum should have definitely been there over Stetson.
But I think the reason why he's up there is because they're the number 1 team in the nation.
Yeah, but it's the best player in the Heisman. We're doing a sidebar, guys, for all those watching at home and listening on Spotify. But the Heisman is the best player in the nation. It's not the best player on the best team, or it's not the quarterback on the best team. And now it's turned into whoever the quarterback on the top 4 teams is, they automatically get invited to the Heisman race. Stetson
I'm
Bennett
100% with you.
Not the best player even on his team. So the fact that he got put, like, Hendon Hooker had a stellar season, and before he got hurt, he was a Heisman favorite. He's not even invited anymore. Blake Corum, one of the best, if not the best running back this year in all the nation for Michigan, not even invited, even though, he got hurt, but not even invited. It's just a quarterback award right now, and if you want to do that, fine, make that obvious and say, hey, guys, we're only going to give it to quarterbacks, but you already have quarterback award out there, so just get rid of the Heisman altogether at that point.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. I think the Heisman should be the best of the best players. It shouldn't be the best quarterbacks on the best 4 teams in the NCAA. And if they're going to make this a quarterback award, then you need to have like a quarterback Heisman and then a wide receiver Heisman and then a running back Heisman, because now all these other skilled positions are getting completely screwed out of a chance to win the Heisman Trophy and be able to come out of college and go into the draft and be like, yeah, I'm the number 1 pick and I'm also a Heisman Trophy winner, whatever. Now it's only you have a chance to get it if you're a quarterback. And that makes zero sense. I think it started swaying that way like 3 or 4 years ago, unfortunately. And now even in the NFL.
Did win it a couple years ago as a receiver, but it was
now even in the NFL, it's the most valuable player. That's a quarterback award.
Yeah.
You're not going to see a running back get it. You're not going to see a wide receiver get it. You're not going to see anybody outside of a quarterback get it. And that makes zero sense to me, because let's say
Cooper Kupp didn't get it last year for the NFL, and he put up almost 2,000 receiving yards.
Yeah, in my opinion, and I'm not trying to be biased, but I personally think that Cooper Kupp should have won MVP. Now, if you take, let's say the Vikings somehow win the Super Bowl this year.
Yeah.
And everybody's like, oh, Kirk Cousins, man, he dominated. He is the most valuable player in the league. No, he is not the most valuable player on that team. Justin Jefferson would get my vote for the most valuable player in the league if they won and they got that far, because he is the one that's carrying that team as far as they've gotten so far. I think this quarterback bias is bullcrap. I think there needs to be a shift at some point where maybe it's like, all right, we get one quarterback, get one quarterback, one running back, one wide receiver, and I don't know. It just needs to change.
Yeah, and so going back to the game again, Stetson's invited to the Heisman. Think he's played great this year. I don't think he's Heisman caliber. Apologize for the sidebar, guys. It just kind of needed to be talked about because it's been kind of floating around the web, and we need to touch base on it. Stetson should not have been invited to the Heisman. However, he is a great quarterback. Dog fans, do not come at us, all right? If you tell me he deserves the Heisman, I need you to look yourself in the mirror and see if your nose grew, because you must be Pinocchio with all that lying. But he has had a great year. He's on the number 1 team. And I, again, think Georgia beats Ohio State by 17 points. I just think that their defense, I think they're ranked number 6 or 7 in the nation. They just have it all right now, and I just don't see a team outside of maybe Michigan, because Michigan has a pretty good defense matching up well with UGA. I will point out that Stetson Bennett, if you want to stop the Georgia Bulldogs, over, I think, like 60% of his yards this year came from a yard within 5 yards, and then the tight ends and receivers took it the rest of the way.
Yep.
So it's not like he's dicing it up and killing teams by himself. He's literally just screen pass, slant, drag route, and then they're just taking it off because they're just superior athletes down there in Georgia right now. With Michigan and TCU, I think Michigan dominates TCU. I would put them a 27-point spread for me. I think Michigan beats them by 27.
I have zero argument. I don't think TCU is anywhere close to a match for Michigan. I think Michigan is just too stacked for them to even have a really competitive game.
We're gonna eat our words. We've been down TCU all year, and TCU's gonna be like,
hold on.
Down our throat.
I kind of doubted them on our last show. I did say I think they would beat Kansas State. I will say I called them winning that game. They did lose, but I did throw some shade towards TCU. But this is different. This is not them going up against Oklahoma State or Texas. This is Michigan. Michigan's been in the top 4 all season, and they've proven why they should be in the top 4. They dominated the, at the time, number 2 team in the country and whooped them out of the top 4.
I was kind of hoping that Ohio State would be put at 4. That way we could see a UM versus Ohio State rematch.
Yeah, but, Yeah.
Imagine
we still could.
Imagine UGA versus TCU.
We still could see a Michigan-Ohio State game for the national championship if Ohio State somehow pulls off like a spectacular win out of nowhere.
That'd be a game to watch. Like I said, Ohio State has the ability, but to me right now, it's Georgia and then the rest of the 3 teams down here. So what team can make up the most of that spread? Couldn't tell you. Like I said, I think it's Michigan, but I think it's Georgia going back to back.
Agreed. It would still be cool to have the oldest, biggest rivalry in college football, Ohio State and Michigan, for the national championship. I think that'd be cool.
I'd rather have Harvard versus Yale national championship.
Yeah, don't count me in to watch that one.
College football would implode.
I would not watch that.
Oh, I 100% would.
That would be so boring.
Battle of the calculators.
Battle of the nerds.
It's just a big LARPing fest. Oh man.
I can code faster.
Yeah. I think that TCU, Max Duggan, he's playing great. Quentin Johnston's played great. They have a solid team. Michigan, they lost Blake Corum, like we said. Potential Heisman winner was supposed to be up there, but he's not. They still have Donovan Edwards, who's a great running back before Corum took over and just kind of dominated the college football landscape. So it's like they haven't lost that much of a step. Losing Blake Corum, they still have a dominant running game. They're good passing the ball, good defense. So I just think that Michigan dominates this. TCU fans and TCU, I hope you make us eat our words. Trust me, I love an underdog story. Rudy's one of my favorite films.
Okay.
But I just don't think I don't think you guys have it in you. Like Rudy, you only get one play, and hopefully that makes history. I just don't see it. With that being said, we've talked about the college football playoffs and who we got. We took UGA and Michigan, and that would be our national championship. So in that national championship, let's break it down. Do you think that who do you got if it comes down to UM and Georgia?
Georgia.
Okay. Expand, or that's it?
Oh, you just asked who I had.
Okay.
I wasn't sure if I needed to go in depth on this.
Georgia or Michigan, and why?
I just think Georgia's stacked through and through. I know Michigan has proved that they're still a good team, even though they lost one of their star players. But Georgia's just dominant. They've proven it all year long, being number one. They've gone up against adversity, and they've shown that they can get by it. It'll be a close game, and I would not put money on that. Like, I wouldn't be like, oh, I'm going to put 500 on Georgia to win this game. Yeah. Because Michigan is still a powerhouse, and even missing a player, they're still extremely good, and they proved that. So I definitely wouldn't put my money on it. And if I had to take a guess as what the spread would be, I'd say 7.
So I would say 3. So I think we're pretty close on that. I think Georgia wins by, like you said, 3 or 7. I think it's a closer game than most Georgia fans would like to admit. I would take Georgia, like I said, by 3. I think that just that defense of Georgia is just too dominant. So I would, again, crown Georgia as our national champs back-to-back, which I don't want to say. It's gross coming out of a Gator fan's mouth. And I know that my timeline, my social media timeline, is going to be filled with a bunch of grown men barking for months to come. So hopefully Michigan can take the dogs and put them in the pound and win this one. I think they have a chance, but I like Georgia too much on that one. So primetime games require primetime coaches. We talked about primetime game like the College Football National Championship. Now it's time to go over to Boulder, Colorado, and Coach Deion Primetime Sanders moving on from Jackson State to Colorado. I want to know your Taylor, your thoughts of his potential impact, and could we see Colorado play for a playoff spot come next season or within the next 2 seasons at least? And if not, the next 2 seasons, when?
I could see it in 2 years.
In 2 years.
Mean, as soon as the decision was made and it was public information, people already started saying like, "Oh yeah, I'm going to Colorado." Like, Colorado's the place to be now.
Yeah.
And I don't blame them. I mean, if you see what he did with Jackson State, he put them on the map. Like before, like 2 years ago, if you were like, "Yeah, Jackson State," you'd be like, "Who? What? What are you talking about? Where's Jackson State?" Now they make it on ESPN. They were on College Game Day. They're getting coverage, back-to-back championships, I believe, in this season, undefeated.
Yeah.
I mean, if you can go and turn around a school like that, you're going to succeed and you're going to do well in a Power 5. I think Colorado had one of their worst seasons.
1-11, man. Season. 1-11.
Yep. I think that is so while Deion Sanders is there, I think that's a thing of the past. 100%. He's already got a bunch of recruits coming from, or not recruits, but players coming, following him from Jackson State. He's already got a bunch of people that are in the transfer portal that are already like, yeah, I want to go to Colorado. You've got a bunch of recruits that are now saying like, Colorado might be the place to go. If they can pay the man, they'll be good to go.
Yeah, their athletic director said, yeah, we'll find the money somehow.
Yeah. It's not going to be a problem, but we don't have it now.
Deion's impact on a university is probably the greatest impact I have personally ever seen from a coach. And why I say this is because Colorado, in order to get Deion said a lot of these transfer, to get these top kids, they require, like they want to major in X, Y, and Z. That Colorado either used to have that major and just got rid of it due to financial situations or financial reasons. Whatever the case, Deion said, I'll take the job if you reinstate these majors, because that's how I'm going to get these kids. Because a lot of these kids in the portal, obviously you're still a student, so you got to have your credit transfer over.
Yeah.
So he's trying to make sure that those kids that he brings in, their credits are going to transfer over to Colorado, and they're not going to extend a year to graduate, or they can still get the degree they initially wanted, or at least similar. That's pretty big time for a football coach to come in and say, hey, I need you to work on your academics. And then they're like, all right, cool, we got you. I don't see a coach doing that. Most coaches would be like, hey, you can come here. We don't have your degree. Don't know what's going to do with your credits for transferring, but you will be able to play football here. And then to go on to the point where you said people want to play for Deion, it's 100% the case. You've already seen through Twitter and everything like that in the transfer portal. The moment he signed, Trey Sanders tweeted at Deion saying, hey, I think I could see myself playing in Colorado. Obviously, he's a former 5-star number 1 running back in the nation. That's a big-time get. And you got a couple other guys. They're bringing Kevin Coleman, who's a former 4-star, 5'11" receiver who went to Jackson State. He's going to Colorado. Travis Hunter, wide receiver / corner, is already on his way to Colorado. They got Shedeur Sanders, who's obviously his son, who was a 4 borderline 5-star quarterback, who was going to be the quarterback at Colorado. They are bringing, like he said in his first meeting, Louis Vuitton luggage, and the kids there either you want to stay and compete and earn your spot, or, like he said, hit the portal.
Now, he caught a lot of shade for that,
Yeah.
but I personally enjoy that. Not enjoy, but I like what he said, because most of the time these coaches will be like, I want to keep everybody possible. I want to keep all these guys just in case something happens, we got them. But he was honest and truthful with them. He said, look, some of you guys aren't going to make it. Some of you guys aren't going to start. Some of you guys won't even have a spot on this team. So if you think that you're not going to be able to compete and make a starting position, hit the portal, find somewhere that you will fit in, because I'm not going to sit here and waste your time, and I don't want you to do that.
Yeah.
That's a good coach to me. I'd rather have a coach that's brutally honest and be like, look, your talent's going to be wasted here. You're not going to have a career after this because you're not going to get any playing time, and you're just going to waste everything you've got. So instead, he said, pack up your stuff, hit the road, go find somewhere where you can get playing time and get exposure. That's a great coach. He's looking out for players that aren't even going to be on his team anymore and making way for all these other players he knows that's going to have a starting position. I like it.
Yeah, I agree. Now, and he said there has been some fire under him leaving Jackson State, which is obviously an HBCU, historic black college or university. People have been saying that he said that, and there was a coach, can't remember what school he went to. I think maybe Georgia Southern or something like that, or Alabama State. And he said Deion's not SWAC. He said this like last year. Deion's in it basically for Deion. And then people are like, oh, he was right because Deion left for a PWI in Colorado, which is, if you guys don't know, is primarily white institution. And that he's not basically for the black community. And Deion came out in defense saying, I'm black. Like, I can't change that. But what I'm here to do is make men, or boys into men, of all shades, and bring that swagger and bring attention to black coaches and stuff like that. And it's important to note that while, people are saying, hey, we need diversity. We need coaches. We need minority coaches to get hired. This is a major issue when a minority coach gets hired, especially from an HBCU. Which, by the way, Deion Sanders is the first HBCU head coach to go and coach at a P5, basically get a raise and go to P5 ever. So that's already changed the landscape of HBCU. So you can't complain about not having. Joy Taylor said this on ESPN. She said, you can't complain about opportunities and jobs and then get mad when the coach takes that opportunity and job.
Yeah.
like you can't say we want a big-time opportunity and we deserve it, and then when they take it, you're like, now you're mad at him for taking it. And they're like, well, why isn't it? Some people say, why isn't Jackson State an opportunity? It's to bring attention to minority coaches. That it's going to have to be, you're going to have to, best way to put this, you're going to have to take over PWI as a head coach. Like, people are going to want to play for you, black, white, Hispanic, whatever. Especially with Deion Swagger, I think he's the face to do it, to put that face for minority coaches and primarily white coaching jobs that you see in the P5. And I think he's the man to do it in Colorado. He's bringing attention to Colorado already. Their social media went from like 72,000 to 1.2 million overnight, which is big time. So it's already getting them light. And then this is what, so I'm going to let you interject on this after I tell you this story. And I didn't know this about what Deion and Jackson State, and the main reason why he left. One, Jackson State decided not to renew his contract. So what you want him to do, just not have a job? But two, so according to some Albert Coleman source, this is from Twitter, guys, JSU is on the hot seat for misuse of football funds. Individuals were stealing money from the football program by moving it to general funds and scholarships for the school, stealing from prime time and the players. 80% of why Deion Sanders is leaving. The plot thickens, Coleman says. JSU put in Deion's contract after $30,000 in ticket sales. He would receive a percentage of the sales that he never received the whole time he was there. The ticket sales randomly went missing every time Deion asked for the money. Deion, the football team, nor the staff saw any of that money. There was a lucrative TV deal in place, and Deion wanted to get that to make more exposure for the HBCUs and the players there. And the university turned it down. They did not want the exposure. Deion, with his own money, then built a new locker room, tennis courts, and all new designs. All came from Deion's pocket. The new player lounges, etc. Deion. He used his own money to feed his players, pregame meals, all the fancy meals that you saw players eating. That was on Deion. When Jackson State went to the Celebration Bowl last year, the school didn't want to give any money back to the athletics. Deion used a lot of his personal money to fund numerous things around campus. The university did not help. The president wanted his name in the headlines as much as Deion. Deion wanted to coach the Celebration Bowl this year, Jackson State. President said no, and the Celebration Bowl was sold out. And again, he did not get any of the money. Deion didn't get any of the money. A last-minute offer was made for $1 million for Deion to stay at Jackson State, but he had to pay his staff out of that. So out of that $1 million, he had to go pay the rest of his staff out of that. After that, there was no new offer made after his 12-win championship success, and obviously he was making roughly $300,000 a year after all his payout and paying his coaches, and now he is making, I believe, $8 million. So you cannot fault a man for taking a promotion, and not only you want him to stay when he's already been slighted by the exact HBCU that he tried to build up and give exposure to, and then go, we'll give you $300,000 after you pay your people, and then turn down $8 million. Who in their right mind turns down $8 million a year compared to $300,000? I'll let you expand on that. That's the story going around right now on why Deion left.
I would personally like to hear from Deion Sanders and have him, solidify that those statements are true. Because if it is, then it's absurd that school was withholding money.
Because he's such a good dude. I don't think he's going to want to hurt the players at Jackson State and hurt that program.
Yeah. Well, I get that, but this is essentially stealing from the players, stealing from the coaches, stealing from the program, stealing from the fans. If you're promising a head coach who has brought you back-to-back championships, TV time, a new locker room, a new lounge, feeding the players, getting fans back in the stadium, bringing in 5-star recruits, that's theft at that point, because you said, look, I'm going to give you X amount of money for you to do all these things. Well, Deion Sanders went out and did all those things, but Jackson State and their athletic department, whatever, did not own up to their end. They didn't come through with the money, and that's absurd, and it needs to be dealt with in the appropriate manner. I understand not wanting to hurt the kids, but what they're doing is hurting them more, because now, guess what? They don't have Deion Sanders.
Yeah. Now
they're not going to have the exposure that they had. Now that all this funding is suddenly disappearing, they're not going to get the players that they once had. That's of the past now. And all the fans and everybody that were booing Deion in their championship game, they were playing songs over the intercom, pretty much saying bye, get out of here, whatever. Yeah. You have nobody outside of Jackson State to thank for that. This man took money out of his.
Yeah, don't shoot the foot that don't shoot the hand that fed you.
Yeah, right. This man took money out of his own pocket to do all these things. You should be praising him for everything that he did. Because I'll tell you this much: I am not that type of man. Deion is 10 times a better man than I am, because I would not sit there and say oh, you want me to pay your coaches or people who you employ out of my paycheck? I'm out. I'm gone.
Yeah.
You told me you were going to pay me X amount of money. Why do I have to pay people that are on your payroll? I know they're my coaches that I selected, blah, 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 but they're on your payroll. You have to pay them. Why should I have to go out and pay for a new locker room? This is your team. Why should I have to buy a lounge? This is your team.
You should want to be successful as a program. So
why should I have to go out and pay for the food for these players? They're under your scholarship. Why should I have to go out and get the TV time? It's your school. I'll be here to promote it. I'll be here to back everything up. I'll be here to ensure everything runs smoothly. I'll be here to coach. I'll do the interviews. I'll do everything else I can. But why should I have to pay for your program to do everything that you said that you would do.
Especially when he was bringing in so much more money to that program than they had originally.
There's some type of money laundering going on if every single time they sell out a stadium, suddenly the money's just not there. Yeah. Where's the money going? You got the money. The seats are filled. It's sold out every single time they play a home game. Where's the money going? There needs to be some type of internal investigation that goes into the team to figure out where the money was going. If it wasn't going to Dion, if it wasn't going back to the school, if it wasn't going towards the players,
especially if it was in a contract.
Yeah, and it wasn't going towards feeding the students or going towards scholarships or stadium upgrades or TV exposure, whatever it is. Somebody needs to figure out where that money went. Yeah. And I don't blame Dion for wanting to leave. Nobody in their right mind would turn down $8 million when they're not even getting paid 30% of ticket sales time and time again, when he's the sole reason why the games are getting sold out. He brought in the 5 stars. He built all this stuff. He's the one with the swagger. He's the one with the experience. He's the one with the knowledge. He's the one with the genuine attitude. He's the one who comes in, and is the genius on the field that made all that happen, and he's not getting paid. I'd be out too. I don't blame the man whatsoever. I'm happy that he got this opportunity. I'm happy that another school said, that's a man who knows what he's doing. That's a man that knows how to connect with kids. That's a man that knows the game of football. He can turn a program around, take us from 1-11 and probably get us to a winning record. If not in 2 years, get us to a spot where we could possibly push for the playoffs.
Yeah.
I'm glad that somebody saw that and gave him the opportunity to be a head coach in a Power 5. I hope he succeeds, and I hope everybody at Jackson State, the hate that they have for him suddenly because he left for a better opportunity, I hope that becomes like gratitude for what he gave you and the exposure he gave that school. I hope they take that and then they're proud of what he's able to do now. That's my take on it.
Yeah, and not only is Dion going to impact the players at Colorado like he did at Jackson State, not only is he going to impact the university itself, Boulder, Colorado, if we're going to talk about race, Boulder, Colorado has been known not to be the most accepting of, racially accepting kind of, town, cities. So for them to embrace a black coach with open arms, there is a chance that with, because schools do community outreach and stuff like that, there's a chance that for some of the, and I don't know Boulder, Colorado, so I'm not going to sit here on the show and say Boulder, Colorado is a racist town or anything. I am just going off what I've heard from the grapevine. Some people in Boulder, Colorado saying, hey, this is not the most racially accepting town, but there's a chance for him to not only impact the players in the school, but the entire community. So this, to me, is a massive W and a bigger impact than people can understand.
Yeah, if he's able to go in there, into what I would call, if this is true, a hostile environment, and be able to change the minds and the hearts of a community that might be labeled as racist, that's the biggest win of all, is being able to go in there and change the culture that was once hateful and now bring it into a loving community and accepting community, and then also create a top team in college football. That would be a win all around. So hopefully that's what happens. Hopefully the rumors are not true about that town, because if it is, it's disgusting. And I personally, if I knew about that and that was Deion Sanders, I wouldn't take that job.
Again, all rumors, guys listening at home and watching, we're not going to label Boulder, Colorado racist. Or I'm not saying they're a sundown town. I'm not saying any of that. This is just from the Twitter sphere and rumors. All right, so take it with a grain of salt. But again, we are saying if that is true, this is a major W for Dion.
Yes.
In that community. Now, that raises my question for the rest of the HBCUs. What impact does him leaving and him just going to an HBCU, how does this entire couple years that Dion's been there and now his departure, how does that impact the future of HBCUs? That's the question. How does it impact the future of HBCUs?
Unfortunately, honestly, it's probably going to negatively impact HBCUs if the financial side of things is true. Because now people are going to say, well, why would I want to go coach at a HBCU school if I'm not going to get paid?
Yeah.
If Deion Sanders, the man Deion Sanders, couldn't get paid, why are they going to pay me?
Yeah.
It causes a lot of conflict for coaches that probably wanted to go coach at these types of universities. But now, because Deion was there, if he was still there, it would probably grow and grow and grow. And then the schools would start getting the exposure that they deserve. And they would start
They've been
getting
on
TV
ESPN,
time.
ESPN2 and stuff, and they've been getting exposures.
Yeah.
That
But
way.
now
But
I think that with everything that's coming out, the way that they've handled his departure, I think it negatively impacts it. But that's no fault to Deion Sanders whatsoever. In my opinion, it should boost HBCUs, but it won't because of everything that's coming out. Because now our coaches are going to be like, I don't want to go there.
yeah.
I'm not going to get paid. When I leave, I'm going to get booed. If I don't give all of my money back to the school that the school won't put back into the program, I'm going to get booed, and people are going to think that I sold out, whatever. Unfortunately, that's the way it's going to go down, and this is probably, unless another, you know, extremely well off, talented, and famous retired football player comes in and starts coaching, I think it's about the last time that we'll really hear or get coverage on an HBCU school, unfortunately.
Yeah, I have mixed feelings. It's kind of a plus or minus. Dion not being there has a chance for them not to get. I mean, his HBCUs and not just Jackson State. There's FAMU,
No.
South Carolina State, etc. Some pretty good programs down there actually with the HBCUs. They are underfunded, severely underfunded as a whole, not just at the athletics, but as far as academics, dormitories, everything in that aspect. Wish we could find a way to obviously find some funds to support HBCUs on the grand scheme of things. I think Dion helped with that. I think Dion helped with the exposure being put on ESPN, Jackson State's games being put on national television. I mean, people who never watched an HBCU game saw their band, like not only saw them play, but saw the band, and we're like, "Yo, these bands are, these bands are pretty lit." So I think it positively impacted them in that sense of getting that exposure. Now, what they do with that exposure, we see what Jackson State potentially has. Again, potentially, I don't know that guy's source, so I'm not gonna throw Jackson State completely under the bus. But if that's true, we've seen what Jackson State with that exposure has done, and that potentially has impacted HBCUs in a negative way. Dion leaving, yes, it's going to have some sort of slight negative impact as far as viewership. Not many people are going to be interested because Travis Hunter was there, Shador Sanders was there as far as the top end talent. It's not there anymore. But HBCUs have always have had gems. We had Shannon Sharp. We've had Jerry Rice. These are some Walter Payton. These are some top-notch guys that have come out of HBCUs. So I think the HBCUs have a bright future, but as far as big-time coaches coming in, they have to be careful because if they really did bite Dion's hand when Dion was feeding them, it's not a good look. And like you said, it's not going to be. Coaches aren't going to want to come to HBCUs at that point, like big name coaches. And I'm not talking about, imagine Calvin Johnson saying, "Hey, I want to get into coaching." He's like, "I'm going to go to," and that's a big name. People are going to watch Calvin Johnson. People love Calvin Johnson. And then he goes, "I'm going to go to, Alcorn State." People are going to watch that. But does he be more weary? Do coaches be more weary because of the situation with Dion and Jackson State and how that's being handled? Not saying that Alcorn State would or any of these other colleges would handle like the Jackson State's handling it, but it just makes you take a second guess. Would you rather take an assistant job in a P5 or a head coaching job in HBCU divisions? It's just, at this point, I think it's a toss-up now. Before it was like, oh, Dion left Dion did leave HBCUs in a better place. So anyone saying he did not. is lying to themselves. I didn't watch no Jackson State games or anything like that, and I found myself tuning in and being like, "Wow, man, this is a fun team to watch." So, Dion definitely made an impact. Where HBCUs go, I think we shall see. Like you said, I think negatively. At the end of the day, I think it's going to be negative as far as his departure, and if this is true and how they handle the situation.
Agreed. Some breaking news. So Reuben Owens, the number 2 running back in the 23 class. I'm sure you saw that he decommitted from Louisville a couple hours ago.
I'm surprised he committed to Louisville. So yeah.
And he just committed to Texas A&M.
Whoa,
which is a shocker to me.
That is, hey, Jimbo got something up his sleeve. I mean, they do.
He got money.
They do have A-Train going to, I think he's going to the league or he hit the portal, their number 1 running back from last year. So there's a spot open to starting. Reuben Owens is a monster. I think Cedric Baxter, at one point he wasn't number 1 rated running back, but I think Cedric Baxter, who's committed to Texas, is a little more of a complete running back. But Reuben Owens is a home run hitter. Texas A&M, that's a good one right there. Just don't waste the talent. Stop wasting talent, please. Please stop wasting talent.
Yeah.
But that brings up the thing of NIL, like you said. Go get your bag. Louisville, Texas A&M.
Might as well.
Hey,
if it's there.
Yeah, it's there. Come on over. We'll give you the money. Texas A&M don't care. They just.
Yep. Here's your cash.
Yeah.
Come for a year and then dip out.
That's pretty crazy. That's breaking news by Taylor Roberts on the booth here. That's
I've got the inside track, guys.
Yeah. We follow Hayes Fawcett and
that's exactly where I got it
from. For all your breaking news, follow the booth, who gets their news from the internet. No, so speaking of the portal and NILs and stuff, we've already kind of touched base with our last episode and last video. We have a video out on it. All right, guys, go check it out. As Texas A&M going down the portal hole because they had the most portal players. So make sure you guys go check that out. Portal is officially underway. There's some notable names in the portal. DJ, the Clemson quarterback. Leary, the wide receiver, Alabama. Leary, the NC State quarterback. Jaheim Bell, tight end from South Carolina. Dakotas Crawford, the coolest name of all time, wide receiver, Nebraska. Trey Sanders, running back, Bama. Which portal kid do you think has the chance to make an immediate impact and why? And then where could you see some of these guys going?
Every single one of them to Oklahoma.
You want DJ, even though you have Dylan Gabriel and Jackson Arnold coming?
I'll take them all.
All right. Okay.
I'll take them all.
He's like, we just need bodies.
We just need a team. We need somebody.
I feel you on that one.
I'm not sure which player is going to make an immediate impact on it. I mean, they're all going to make an impact. They're all really good players.
Yeah.
The one that I'm interested in seeing, I think we talked about this one, is Dakotas Crawford. Like we said, I think he's going to go to LSU. I think that would be a really good fit for him. So I'm interested to see what he does. I mean, he's got the coldest name out there.
See what he did there.
Yeah, that's who I'm interested in seeing. I don't really know. I can't really predict who's going to go where. I mean, they're all going to be. I mean, South Carolina's tight end Bell.
He's a monster.
He'll probably go to Florida.
I think he goes to Florida. I mean, we got Keon Zipper, and we do need a tight end, but I mean that'd be dope.
I'm trying to hype you up. Yeah,
I'll be
trying to hype you up there.
Yeah, I'll be happy with Jaheim Bell.
I think I saw your comment under his announcement going into the portal. You're like, hey, Florida needs a tight end.
Slide it, man. Let it slide.
So
yeah,
I don't know.
A lot of people are saying what you said last week. You've already predicted. You said this before anybody else. Before DJ was even in the portal, that DJ would be a good fit at Florida. Play a year, let Jaden Rashada sit a year, bulk up a little bit, learn the offense. And DJ obviously has 1 or 2 years of eligibility, but he'll probably go pro be forced to go pro after wherever he goes. I think Florida's a good fit for DJ, but I think he does go back out west. He's from California. His brother's considering is a 5-star prospect defensive end, considering UCLA. DTR's leaving UCLA potentially for the NFL. I think DJ and Chip Kelly could, reunite, and then Chip Kelly gets the 5-star defensive end brother there. But I can't see Florida, unfortunately. But as far as like a notable name, Dakotas, we said LSU. Jaheim Bell, you said. I think Leary from NC State, I think he's got 1 year of eligibility. I think he could slide to Florida for a year. Pretty much any quarterback that's in their, junior or senior season could slide to Florida at this point. Trey
just
Sanders,
take everybody and just shift them out to Florida,
Yeah.
See how they do for a year, see if they win a national championship.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
That'd be dope. We'll just kind of – we allowed 22 men on the field at one time? Trey Sanders, I think he's going to Colorado. I think that Dion has an immediate impact in Colorado, but it's still Colorado. So we didn't really talk about this, but I think that he is going to get 4 and 5 stars to Colorado.
Yeah.
I don't think he's always going to get every top player like everyone thinks. They're like, oh, top quarterback. He wants to go play for Dion. It's one, Dion's unproven in P5, but 2, it's Colorado. So he is going to get some ballers. I think Trey Sanders, he's already reached out. He's looking for a fresh start, leaving Alabama. It's a place he could immediately start in a Pac-12 conference where he can show up, put up some highlight, and go to the pros. I think Colorado's probably the best fit for him.
I could see that.
But
I don't think I think he's going to get a lot of 5 and 4 star recruits this year, but I don't think it's really going to start flowing until next year. Next season's really when, once he gets a season, people kind of see how it works out. Then it's going to be more of a lucrative spot for players to go.
It's still, Colorado's definitely going to get more play time. And it's the Pac-12, so you don't need a lot of 4 or 5 stars to actually compete. You just need
throwing shade.
Yeah, you just need some solid players, and you could potentially win that. I think Colorado could win it. The Pac-12 is coming year. Who knows? USC is still probably my favorite, but even though Utah beat them, but Cam Rising's probably going to the NFL, so they won't have a quarterback.
Yeah, that dude's tough, by the way.
What was that?
That dude's tough after that hit he took.
He is a tough man.
I'd be on the ground. I'd be crying out for somebody.
Crying. Yeah.
Mama. He came out of nowhere.
What's that?
Hit me like a Mack truck.
What's that one song? I just killed a man. Hit him so hard. Ooh. Guys, not only we talk about football, but we are also trying out for The Voice as a duet team. So let us know your thoughts.
You'll see us as memes here in a few years.
Yeah. But yeah, I think we talked about the portal. I think those are some big names. There's, of course, a bunch of big names. There's officially 2,000 plus kids in the portal today, and still growing. Some of these kids end up finding out that there's not another scholarship out there, and they have to go back to the program. However, if they decide to go back to the program or their school, they no longer are on scholarship. So they have to earn that scholarship again. So it really is throwing the dice and betting on yourself, because you went from having your school paid for to being like, hey, coach, can you take me back? No one else wanted me. Well, hey, man, your scholarship was given to somebody else because you left. So congratulations. Now you're a preferred walk-on.
Yeah, it's definitely a risky move, but a lot of these kids, the 5 stars and the 4 stars are pretty much, they're solid, but anything under that, it's definitely a risk.
We say, but so they're solid to a point, but their stars don't carry over. Safety Mordecai McDaniel last year transferred from Florida. He's still in the portal. He still hasn't found a school, and he put out his tape again saying, hey, this year I come around, I'm just looking for an opportunity. You have former 5-star linebacker Terrence Lewis, who went to Maryland out of high school, one of Maryland's biggest recruits of all time, transferred after his freshman year to UCF. Saw limited playing time at UCF his first year there, and he's hit the portal again. He's already back in the portal. So
the risk is still there for 4 and 5 stars, but the risk is a lot smaller
Yeah.
than it is for like a 2-star or 3-star. I mean, if you're a
Yeah.
2-star and you're like, yeah, I'm hitting the transfer portal, good luck.
Yeah. If
Like
I'm a
you
4 or
were
5 star, I'm
like
looking at
third
these
string
smaller
here,
schools.
now you're like 1,000th in line.
Yeah. If I'm a 4 or 5 star, to be honest, I'm looking at some of these smaller schools, like maybe a Western Kentucky that has a good football program. That you can almost guarantee yourself guaranteed starting primetime spot wherever you're at on the field, offense or defense. I don't know. I mean, if you have the chance to go to a big time program, but the problem is big time programs usually want the people they recruit. So obviously you're recruited, yada yada yada. But now you're restarting all over again. The portal's just a mess. It really is the wild wild west.
Oh yeah, agreed. I mean, at some point something's going to give, and there's going to be some type of regulations put on there as to how many players can opt into the portal, or how many years you have to play at a school before you can go to the portal. There's going to be something.
Yeah,
There's going to be some restrictions put on it eventually.
I agree. With that being said, we will go into our bowl game predictions. We are coming to an end for these predictions here with the college season coming to a close. Before we get into these predictions, guys, we are an hour in. We appreciate you guys watching from home, whether it's on YouTube or listening on Spotify. Make sure you follow us. Hit that bell notification if you're on Spotify. Make sure you follow us. Make sure you follow us on Twitter, too, to stay up to date on recruiting news, NFL news, just football news in general. And make sure you follow our TikTok as well. Make sure you follow all the socials. And again, if there's any topics that you would like for us to talk about or discuss, make sure that you let us know. So let's get into it. We have Miami, Ohio versus UAB.
I'm going to go Miami, Ohio, due to family ties.
I'll go UAB because, well, we don't have family ties. We have the Duluth Trading Cure Bowl, which is UTSA versus Troy.
Troy.
All right. I'll go UTSA. For funsies, I guess.
Yeah, for funsies. I'm holding you to that word.
Makes me giggle. All right.
Okay.
All right. We got in the SRS Distribution Las Vegas Bowl, Florida versus Oregon State.
Oh, Florida.
I'm going Oregon State because, well, Florida doesn't have anybody. Everyone hit the portal or the league, so I don't know who's playing quarterback, to be honest. It might be Desmond Watson, 400-pound quarterback like you made on Madden back in the day.
Hefty lefty.
Yeah, well, we got Jalen Kitna situation. We literally have Max Duggan. Or not, I wish we had Max Duggan.
Wait a minute. Hold up. How did that
happen? There's been a trade.
Breaking news.
Max Brown, who's a former 3-star quarterback. So that's it. If he gets hurt, I don't know. I don't know if he's playing quarterback. So I'm gonna go Oregon State, unfortunately. But it'd be cool to see Florida win a bowl game. Cincinnati versus Louisville in the Wasabi Fenway Bowl.
What are these bowl games? Cincinnati.
I'm going Cincinnati as well. We have Washington State versus Fresno State in the Jimmy Kimmel LA Bowl presented by Stifel. Jimmy Kimmel has got his own bowl, guys.
Who was playing in that one?
Washington State and Fresno State.
Washington State.
All right, Fresno State. We'll go Fresno State. All right, we have Linden Tree Bowl. Lending Tree Bowl. There you go. Rice versus Southern Miss.
Southern Miss.
How is Rice Bowl eligible? They only got 5 wins. Anyways, I'll go with Southern Miss as well. Then we have the New Mexico Bowl, so a normal name there. SMU versus BYU.
BYU.
All right, I'll go SMU. I'll just keep taking the splits until there's a game that I'm like, okay, this. All right, the Frisco Bowl, North Texas versus Boise State.
Boise State.
I'm gonna go North Texas. Yeah, go North Texas. Just keep taking the splits here. We have the Myrtle Beach Bowl, Marshall versus Yukon.
Marshall, I guess.
We are Marshall. I'll take Marshall too. We have Eastern Michigan versus San Jose State in the famous Idaho Potato Bowl.
Who you taking?
I'll take San Jose State just because I know somebody who played there, Jeremiah Kalani, who played for the Rams. So
Then I'll take San Jose State too, because
we have the roofclaim.com Boca Raton Bowl. The man they put their whole URL in there. Liberty versus Toledo.
Liberty.
We need to get on these bowl games, man. We need a fun one. The Booth with Tailor and Brandon Bowl.
Apparently anybody can get a bowl game.
Western Kentucky versus South Alabama. The R+L Carriers New Orleans Bowl.
Western Kentucky.
I'll go South Alabama. We have the Lockheed Martin Armed Forces Bowl.
The Lockheed Martin Bowl?
Yeah.
What?
Baylor versus Air Force.
Why are they even funding bowl games? I got Baylor.
I got Air Force. We have the Radiance Technology Independence Bowl. Louisiana or Houston?
Houston.
Houston, we have a problem because I'm going with Louisiana Raging Cajuns. All right. We have the Union Home Mortgage Gasparilla Bowl. If you need to mortgage your house, go to Union Home Mortgage. Wake Forest versus Missouri.
Wake Forest.
All right, go Wake Forest too. We have the Easy Post Hawaii Bowl, or Hawaii, if you want to say it correctly. Middle Tennessee State versus San Diego State.
San Diego.
All right, I'll go with Middle Tennessee State. This is a pretty easy one. Quick Lane Bowl. New Mexico State versus Bowling Green.
Bowling Green.
All right, I'm just Bowling Green too. We have the Cameo Bowl. Georgia Southern Buffalo.
Georgia Southern. What are these games?
You just got to win 6 games, man, to get up bowl eligible. We have the
Apparently not. Somebody had 5 wins.
Yeah, Rice. We have the Serve Pro First Responder Bowl. Utah State versus Memphis.
Memphis.
All right. Sure. I'll go Memphis. Ticket Smarter Birmingham Bowl, East Carolina versus Coastal Carolina.
I'll take the local ECU.
I'll take ECU as well. Look, I'm just saying all these names because they're fun to say. It's like people went to a dictionary and threw it's like
through
NASCAR.
A dart.
Yeah, it's like NASCAR. Welcome to the Cheez-It. Welcome to the Cheez-It Wells Fargo. The booth with Tailor and Brandon, Dell Computer Company, and Microsoft game.
Welcome to the Intel Bowl, sponsored by Microsoft, sponsored by Apple, sponsored by Nabisco.
Yeah, and then the game's like, 2 small schools.
Yeah, like SMU and then some other team that nobody's ever even heard of.
Yeah. Wisconsin versus Oklahoma State in the Guaranteed Rate Bowl. Well, your rates are guaranteed.
Oklahoma State.
I'll go Oklahoma State, too. We have the Military Bowl presented by Peraton, UCF, and Duke.
How is that even the Military Bowl? How does that make any sense?
Yeah.
The Military Bowl featuring nobody in the military. UCF.
All right. Yeah, I'll take Duke. The AutoZone Liberty Bowl. Kansas versus Arkansas. Kansas versus Arkansas.
Kansas.
All right. I'm going to go with Arkansas. Kansas season went down the drain.
Yeah.
San Diego County Credit Union Holiday Bowl.
San Diego County. San Diego County. Not San Diego. San Diego County.
Credit Union Holiday Bowl. Oregon versus North Carolina. None of those teams are like anywhere near
Oregon.
San Diego.
No.
I'm gonna go Oregon as well. We have the Tax Act Texas Bowl. At least this one's kind of Texas related. Texas Tech versus Ole Miss.
Ole Miss.
I take Ole Miss as well. We have the Bad Boy Mowers Pinstripe Bowl for all your mowing needs. That is Syracuse versus Minnesota.
Syracuse. This is starting to become comedy now.
I'm going to go with Syracuse. No, I'm going to go Minnesota. We have the Cheez-It Bowl, Florida State versus Oklahoma.
Oh, yeah. Florida State.
I'm going Oklahoma.
I appreciate that, but
no problem.
You'll be disappointed.
The Valor Alamo Bowl, Texas versus Washington.
Texas.
Going Washington. The Duke's Mayo Bowl, Maryland. That sounds like something you eat at KFC. Can I get the Duke's Mayo Bowl?
Yeah.
Maryland versus NC State.
NC State.
Yeah, Duke's Mayo Bowl. Hold the Mayo. I'm going to go NC State as well. We have the Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl because they're great. Pitt versus UCLA.
How does that even correlate? UCLA.
UCLA for me too. The Tax Slayer Gator Bowl. Notre Dame versus South Carolina.
What was the name of this bowl game?
Tax Slayer for slaying all your tax needs.
And who is in this?
Notre Dame and the Gamecocks.
I'm going to go South Carolina.
I'm going to go Notre Dame on that one. I think Notre Dame is probably better during tax season.
Fair enough.
Tax Slayer, Barstool Sports Arizona Bowl. Ohio versus Wyoming.
Wyoming.
I'll go Ohio. All right, we're going to our normal games here. The New York.
Here we
Six
go,
games.
ladies and gentlemen.
All right, Capital One Orange Bowl. Tennessee versus Clemson.
Ooh. I want to say Tennessee, but I think without Hendon Hooker, I think they're really.
Mind you, both orange teams are in the Orange Bowl.
Yeah. No. Somebody out there was like, we have got to make this happen. I'll go Clemson. I'll give them this is the one time that I'm really backing Clemson.
They got a true freshman coming in at quarterback to play that bowl game with DJ in the portal. I'm going to go Tennessee. I think Milton is still a good quarterback. He's not Hendon Hooker level, but and I'll take just the SEC over the ACC. We have the All-State Sugar Bowl we got Alabama versus Kansas State. The team that Alabama was trashing, they said TCU lost to Kansas State, so I don't think they should get in. Basically also what Nick Saban said. So would love to see Kansas State win this.
Kansas State.
Yeah.
Just because of that statement, Kansas State all the way.
Yeah. All right. And then we have Iowa versus Kentucky in the Trans Perfect Music City Bowl.
Iowa. I don't like Kentucky. I don't really think they're that good of a team.
I don't either. Then we have we already did our college football semifinals, and we had Michigan over TCU and Georgia over Ohio State, so we'll skip those. We have 4 more bowl games. The Relic Quest Bowl, Mississippi State versus Illinois.
Mississippi State.
Mississippi State for me, too. We have the Goodyear Cotton Bowl with Tulane and USC.
Tulane. I'm going to ride with them till the end.
All right. We got to ride with Tulane, man. They rode with us on Twitter and social media, so I'm going to ride Tulane over USC. Then we have the Cheez-It. How are there 2 Cheez-It bowls? Cheez-It Citrus Bowl.
Cheez-It Citrus Bowl.
Like, you just added citrus to it. It's the same. Okay. LSU versus Purdue.
LSU.
All right. And then we have the infamous Rose Bowl, Penn State versus Utah.
Utah.
All right, I'm going to take Utah as well. I think they're a pretty solid team.
Whew.
All right, guys, that was the college edition. Again, this is a reminder before we get into the NFL. We thank you guys for sticking around. This is we're an hour and 14 minutes in. Normally we're done with college for a little appreciate you guys for staying in, for viewing from YouTube, and listening from Spotify. Make sure you're getting followed on all social medias, and we just want to thank you guys for helping us out and listening in. All right, Taylor, are you ready for this NFL? You ready to break down this NFL stuff we got going on here?
Let's do it.
Let's go. So, Brady, captain comeback. Came back, beat the lowly. I gotta switch my brain from college to the NFL. The lowly Saints, New Orleans Saints, which should not have happened if Mark Ingram, took the one extra step to get the first down, but he went out of bounds instead. But it raised the question of, should he stay with the Buccaneers or move on elsewhere after the season?
I think he stays. I think it's a good fit for him. I mean, if Leftwich leaves, it might give him a reason to reconsider playing for the Bucs any further. But I think he's got a good system going on with the Bucs. I mean, they've already won a Super Bowl. They missed out last year because of the Rams, which I don't think that should be like Tom Brady's done with the Bucs because they couldn't make the Super Bowl because they got beat by the Super Bowl champs, or eventually Super Bowl champs. Blah blah blah. I think he stays. I'm pretty sure you think they move on. I don't want to speak for you, but I think that's your opinion on it. And I know a lot of other people think it might be time for him to dip out and find a different team.
There's talks of him going back to New England.
Mac Jones is punching air right now. Dude's just getting screwed left and right, man. I mean, if he goes back, I think that's a worse situation than what he has with the Bucs right now.
Where I can see him going next season? His favorite team growing up as a California kid?
49ers.
49ers. That was his favorite team growing up. He's going back out west where he's from.
I mean, if you want to talk about upgrades, 49ers would be an upgrade.
Yeah.
100%. They have all the pieces. Their defense is solid. Offensive line is solid. They got a great wide receiver core, great running backs. All in all, couldn't think of a better place.
And then just imagine finishing your career on the team you grew up absolutely loving. It's like say if I'm, as a Rams fan, say you get drafted by like the Cardinals and spend most of your career at the Cardinals, and then you have a chance to end it with the Rams. I mean, that's pretty special.
Yeah, I think it would be good. I mean, they need a quarterback.
Yeah,
I think Trey Lance is. I mean, he definitely needs some time to develop, and I think having. It would be funny, Tom Brady replacing Jimmy G. It's funny to me that Jimmy G was underneath Tom Brady for so long, and then Tom Brady replaced Jimmy G.
Yeah.
But I think that would work out for all parties involved. I think the 49ers would then have a competent Super Bowl winning quarterback who still has more years left in him. He's proven that he's able to, gear up and actually play some good, tight football when it comes down to the wire.
Mm-hmm.
Got the pieces they need. They need a quarterback. Trey Lance definitely needs some time to develop and learn from a really good quarterback. Jimmy G is not terrible. He's just not consistent. I'll say that till the day I die. He still hasn't proven to me that he's a consistent quarterback, and I don't think he's the best mentor to learn from. Tom Brady has everything in the bag. He's labeled as the greatest quarterback to ever play the game. Why wouldn't you want your young quarterback to learn from him? I think that's a perfect situation for him.
Yeah, I could see him staying in Tampa. The reason why I would see him leaving is I don't know if he's happy with the way the offense has been coached under Todd Bowles and Brian Leftwich. He's been looking a little disgruntled on the sidelines.
A little?
Yeah, let's say little. Let's just say Apple was making a lot of money on those tablets.
Microsoft is definitely making a lot of money. Yeah.
But, I think the 49ers are a good fit. If he stays, there's talks potentially that Tampa goes with AR-15. They have a later draft pick right now because they're in the playoffs, right where that sweet spot is for AR-15 in the first round, who everyone says needs at least 1 year of development. So I could see that learning under Tom Brady. That's kind of big time. They already have Kyle Trask, though, and you kind of want to see what you have in Trask, who's another former Florida Gator, but Anthony Richardson probably's got more upside.
I mean, how do you feel? How would you feel? Your Kyle Trask, draft night, and then they're like, "All right, and the pick is in. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers select Anthony Richardson from Florida." And what am I even here for?
Yeah. Well,
I sat back this whole time. I thought, I was here. I thought I was going to start because the old man retired, and then he came back. And he was like, "Just kidding."
Yeah. But even then, I think if Tom Brady leaves, you can at least see what you have in Trask and put AR behind him until AR is ready. I think you do got to see what you have in Trask. It was a potential Heisman. He at one point was talked to be going to the Heisman. He's a good thrower of their football. He's not really athletic. He's kind of like Tom Brady. He doesn't have the biggest arm. He doesn't have the best attributes, but he's smart with the football. I think you do have to see what you have in Trask. But I could see Tampa Bay taking AR. What people don't understand, a lot of people are saying AR is not ready for the league, and AR and Josh Allen, who everyone now says is the greatest, one of the best quarterbacks in the league. Josh Allen's last year in college football at Wyoming and Anthony Richardson's lone starting year at Florida are identical stats, outside of rushing TDs, where obviously AR has way more rushing yards than TDs. So, Josh Allen had, shown he had growing pains his first year, his rookie year, and he's shown to be one of the better quarterbacks. Anthony Richardson could take that turn, especially under NFL coaching. I still think Tampa Bay needs to stick with Kyle Trask. Let's just see what he's got. And if they do take AR, see what you got in Kyle Trask and trade him the next season. Try to get some picks for him. I think he has the talent to play in the league. And I'm not trying to be biased because of Florida. I just, think he has the talent.
Yeah.
But
definitely no bias.
No bias. No, I don't know what this hat says. Does it say Flo? I'm a big Flo Rida fan.
Flo Rida?
Yeah, I'm
Flo Rida?
Big Flo Rida fan. But yeah, I think Brady, if he doesn't stay with the Bucs, 49ers are a good fit. People have been saying the Patriots, but I think the Patriots and Tom Brady have kind of burnt that bridge.
I don't think that's ever going to happen. Anybody that says that just wants Tom Brady back.
Yeah, and speaking of quarterback change, quarterback on the opposite side of that game, is it time for New Orleans to put in Jameis Winston with Andy Dalton just absolutely sucking?
Not unless they are gunning for a quarterback in this upcoming draft. Because if you want to stick with Jameis Winston as your starter, why put him in now whenever playoff hopes are pretty much gone? I mean, if the playoffs are still 100%
tank.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't, if he's going to be our starter next season, I wouldn't put him in. That's just, I mean, if you want to win games, yeah, I'd put Jameis in, but I don't know. I just don't see the point this late in the season.
I would.
He's been healthy for what? 3-4 games now?
Yeah. I would put Jameis in just because as a team, you don't want to see your team tanking as a fan. Like, you don't want to be like, oh, we're tanking. But two, if I'm a Saints fan, I'd want to burn the Eagles and get them the worst pick we possibly can give them and not give them the best pick we can possibly give them.
No.
Because the Eagles, even though they're not in your division, they're in the NFC, and you're going to be going against them for future comes. And say the Eagles get a top 5 pick like they do now and get a Jalen Carter, one of the best defensive linemen in the draft, and pair them back again with Jordan Davis. That's a nice little punch there. Or Will Anderson, the best linebacker in this draft, or any of the top-notch players, it could come back to bite you in the end. So to me, I would be like, you know what, I'm going to make sure at least our pick is like 10 to 15 and not top 5 so the Eagles can't just reload on talent. And it's going to make it harder for the Saints when they eventually get that team around them to make that push when they've kind of helped the Eagles out as far as make a more solid team.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to win games, start him. if you want to tank, don't start him. Don't risk the injury.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I'm not a GM or a coach, so.
Yeah. So we talked about a little bit. We talked a little about the Eagles here. We're talking about the NFC. We'll stick with the NFC playoffs coming up. The Cowboys dominated the Indianapolis Colts in the fourth quarter, raising the question: who has a better chance at a Super Bowl? The Eagles, the Cowboys, the 49ers, etc. ESPN gives the Eagles this is from ESPN, 30% chance to make it to the Super Bowl. The Cowboys have a 50% chance of the Super Bowl, and the 49ers, even without a quarterback, they have them at 20%.
I would say that the Eagles have a better chance because if you're going to look at domination this past week, the Cowboys dominated a terrible Colts team, and
They
the
didn't
Eagles
dominate until like the last 10 minutes of that fourth quarter.
True, still dominated, embarrassed them, whooped them, whatever. So you have that, and then you have the Eagles who dominated what has been argued a good Titans team.
Yeah.
So if you're taking it off of this past week, I got the Eagles all the way. I mean, the run game looked solid, and mind you, the Titans have had one of the best run defenses in the entire league this entire season, and they only allowed 2 rushing TDs up until that Eagles game, and Miles Sanders and that entire Eagles team just ran all over them. So I would say that the Eagles have a better chance. No bias because I'm really good friends with somebody who's an Eagles fan. I don't know who that is.
Not me.
But not at all. But I'd say the Eagles have a better chance. 49ers.
No shot anymore. No shot.
Yeah, I can't see Brock Purdy really coming out there and
he throws a Purdy ball, but as my grandma would say, she likes to say Purdy. But I don't think he has that.
Yeah, I don't.
That's a lot to ask for him.
Yeah, I don't see unfortunately, the 49ers season's probably a wrap unless Jimmy G, because I saw something that said Jimmy G was going to be healthy enough to play in the playoffs if everything goes the way they think it is, because he doesn't need surgery now. But that's a long time for him to be out and then come back and be like, all right, I'm ready for the playoffs, and then play. But it is a really good team. They could pull it off. I just don't think Brock Purdy's the guy that's going to get them there where they need to be.
Yeah, I think the Cowboys and the Eagles and the Vikings are probably the top 3 teams in the NFC right now.
Yes.
No bias. I'm going to go with the Eagles because people have said, who have the Eagles played? Well, they just beat a 7-4 at the time Titans team, and they held Derrick Henry to 38 yards, I believe, 33, 38 yards, around there. Which, the addition of Ndamukong Suh, Linval Joseph, and then Jordan Davis coming back obviously helped. I think the Eagles have a better defense than the Cowboys. I think although the Cowboys technically have the number 1 offense in the league, on paper, I think through eye test, I don't see it. Elliott and Pollard are a solid 1-2 combo. CD Lamb is a solid receiver. Dak Prescott is an okay quarterback. I just don't see it. As far as their defense, they don't really have anybody, in my opinion, outside of Trayvon Diggs. And when you go against teams, the Colts don't have any number 1 receivers. They don't. Michael Pittman, I will hold this till the day I die. Yeah. Michael Pittman is not a true number 1. Alec Pierce is in his rookie year. He's shown out. Alec Pierce has played great. So the Colts fans, don't get me wrong, Michael Pittman's great. Alec Pierce is great. Both are not number 1 receivers.
No.
What the Eagles bring to the table is A.J. Brown, who is a true number 1. So you got Trayvon Diggs on him. And then you have Devontae Smith, who is a number 1 receiver on a couple of teams. And then you got Quez Watkins there in the slot, who is just insanely fast, runs a 4.2, 4.3. Is a mismatch for any nickel corner or linebacker. And then they get Dallas Goedert back in 2 weeks. And they get Avonte Maddox back, their slot, one of the best slot corners in the league. They get C.J. Gardner-Johnson back right before the playoffs. Ironically, he comes back against the Saints. So I think once the Eagles get healthy again, there's pretty much no stopping them. We've already beat the Vikings in prime time. And everyone's like, well, they beat them in prime time. They beat them in prime time. But what do you think the what do you think the playoff games are? It's all prime time. So your mic is messing up. Just a heads up, Taylor. I heard a beeping.
I've lost audio. I've got nothing.
Go ahead and talk.
Give me 1 second to try and fix this.
Yeah, go ahead and fix it. While he fixes that, guys, this is a reminder that this is the booth with Tailor and Brandon. We're going to go right back into what we were discussing about the Cowboys, Eagles, and NFC playoff hopes once he gets it fixed out. Again, follow us on all social medias and stay tuned. I'm going to go back into what I was saying when he fixes his mic. I'll let him respond whenever he gets it fixed.
All right, can you hear me?
Yes, he got it fixed. Look at that.
All
so, right. Like I was saying with the Cowboys, what was I saying? The Eagles. I just think that they're getting healthy. They're going to be getting healthy at the right time, right before the playoffs. The defense, they have the top 2 corners in the league at the time. Right now, as far as statistics go, good pass rush, great offense, and if you're going tit for tat for players, and I think the Eagles got the edge. So, yes, I am an Eagles fan. Booth fans out there. So I'm not trying to be biased, but from a non-biased perspective, the Eagles got it.
Absolutely. I think the Eagles are the better team, especially when they're fully healthy. I think the Eagles are a substantially better team. No shade. I always hate on the Cowboys, but they're a good team this year. They've unfortunately, they're a really good team. But I think that the Eagles edge them out in every single aspect. I think they have a better quarterback. I think they have a better running back. I think Miles Sanders, when given the opportunities, is better than Pollard and Ezekiel. I think the Eagles have a better offensive line. I think they have a better defense. The run defense can be a little shady every once in a while. I have to fault them on that. That can definitely be improved. But overall, Eagles would take it. I think 9 times, or I would say 8 times out of 10, the Eagles would win against the Cowboys.
And so, the Eagles are getting ready to play the Dallas Cowboys in the coming weeks. If the Eagles already locked their spot, especially if they already locked the number 1 spot, by the time we play the Cowboys fans are like, oh, y'all beat us when we didn't have Dak. You guys beat us when we didn't have Dak. You guys are probably going to beat us when we don't have Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Quez Watkins, Dallas Goedert, Darius Slay, like half our team, because we're going to be benching them to let them.
And they're still going to, Cowboys fans are going to be like, oh, we beat the Eagles, number 1 Eagles, blah, blah, blah.
And James we didn't have Eagles, what happened?
X next. Yeah. Philadelphia, what happened?
Yeah. So I'm ready for it. I think it's going to be a good game. I think the Eagles, one key thing, even if we do play starters versus starters in this upcoming game, the Eagles' last game exposed Micah on a way of how to target Micah Parsons. And that's an RPO is just not to block him. Make him make a choice. Go for the running back or go for the quarterback. You got to make a choice somehow. And as great of a talent as Micah Parsons is, he struggled with that because we didn't really struggle, but you have to make a guess. Do you take Jalen Hurts or do you take Miles Sanders? If you take Miles Sanders, Jalen Hurts can roll out, throw a pass, or he can take off and run. If you take Jalen Hurts, Miles Sanders is beating you for 10 to 15 yards. That's all they did. Like, we didn't do anything special against the Cowboys the first game we played them. We just targeted Micah Parsons and made him make a choice. Don't let him control the game. You make him, you make it harder for him to control the game. So I think the Eagles will probably repeat that, and I think they take that dub. And I still think the Eagles are the best team in the NFC, just at this point.
Agreed.
With that being said, we're going to skip this next segment that we have written down here because we already kind of touched upon it with the 49ers. We're going to go to the notable names that, for quarterbacks that have declared for the draft and kind of predict where they go and who's maybe the best fit for them. I'm Mel Kiper here. Jamarcus Russell was the greatest quarterback of all time. Give me Ryan Leaf as number 2. All right, so we got C.J. Stroud. Who do you think C.J. Stroud goes to?
Uh,
What's his best fit?
Houston Texans.
Houston, Texas.
I mean, Houston Texans or the Carolina Panthers. But I think the Texans.
I think the Texans. I mean, they have 2 first-round picks. I think they get C.J. Stroud and then they load up and get Quentin Johnson out of TCU to pair at wide receiver there. That'd be a great first round. They already have Dameon Pierce. That's a pretty good draft right there. Like, you're already looking into that season is looking better if C.J. Stroud obviously plays like a good quarterback in the NFL.
Ooh, they do have 2 firsts. Gotcha. 13 and number 1.
Yeah, which they can get Jackson or they can get, again, Quentin Johnson, a wide receiver, and they need a wide receiver. So they can get the top receiver in the draft and the potentially top quarterback in the draft. And
well, they have Mechie, who's going to be coming back.
Yeah, they'll have John Mechie back. They'll have, again, a top-rated receiver if they pick Quentin Johnson or Jackson.
JSN. They're good on running backs. That's for sure.
They're good on running back with Dameon Pierce. They get their quarterback in their first pick. They could potentially completely flip
I'd beef up on the defense there.
Yeah, defense would, but they could take their quarterback and the receiver in the first round and then the second round on start going after defensive players. I mean, you got they could get there's a couple notable defensive players that'll probably go in the second or third round that they obviously can take. We have Bryce Young. Who do you think? Where do you see him going? I see him going to Detroit, in my personal opinion.
Let me see what we got here. Who needs a quarterback?
You got to mind where they'll potentially go in the draft too. There's a lot of quarterback needy teams in the top 5.
But, every single team except for one needs a quarterback.
Yeah,
because it's Houston, the Bears, Seahawks, Lions, Panthers. Only one that doesn't need a quarterback are the Bears.
Yeah.
I would say that
pairing them with Jameson Williams. That's why I say the Lions.
I could see him going to the Lions, absolutely.
Yeah.
If not the Lions, just imagine him with the Seahawks.
Yeah, that is definitely a solid pick.
No, I mean if the Seahawks took him, him and DK, it's a wrap.
I agree. Then we have Will Levis, who has declared and his foregoing the bowl game. Here at the booth, we're big fans of Will Levis. Definitely top.
That man should not be That man shouldn't be picked in the first round.
Mind you, I will put this out in the atmosphere to people who don't know. The Carolina Panthers apparently are infatuated with Will Levis. So I'm going to say the Carolina Panthers.
I mean, every single mock draft that I've been looking at over the past 2 weeks, that's exactly where he's going.
Yeah.
Like every single expert out there is saying Will Levis to the Carolina Panthers. And I'm sorry, Carolina Panthers fans, but your situation is going to stay the exact same.
It's just Sam Darnold 2.0.
Yep.
Right.
I mean, they have Matt Corral sitting in the back. I don't know why they would wait. I'd give him a chance.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, it's politics and football. Matt Corral wasn't a first-round quarterback. Then we have AR-15 who'll probably go in picks like 15 to 20 range.
So I just pulled up a mock draft here, and they have Anthony Richardson, the Florida Gator quarterback. Do you know of him?
I don't know.
Have you heard of him?
He's a small school guy. No. So
they have him going to the Colts.
I could see him going to the Colts, sitting behind Matt Ryan.
I don't think that. So I think it would be a great pickup for the Colts. However, in recent years, the Colts have not drafted the best. They're not a bad team that draft. Usually they're one of the best teams to draft. But I don't think the Colts will pick him up. I personally think that the Las Vegas Raiders should pick him up.
Ooh.
They won't.
They won't.
But I think they should. Because Derek Carr's time is coming to an end, and the Raiders need to acknowledge that. And Anthony Richardson would fit well with what they have going on right now.
So if we're going to go to it, he needs to go to a team where he has to sit a year. I mean, that's just plain and simple. He can't. He's not
I
released
mean,
that
that's a
way.
perfect situation. Derek Carr, the Raiders love
I
Derek
agree.
Carr for
And
whatever
then the
reason.
Colts with Matt Ryan, but and this
I
is
think Matt Ryan retires after this year, though.
he could. He potentially could, but then the Colts will probably still get another veteran quarterback who's at the end of his career or
Jimmy
life.
G.
And yeah, taking Jimmy G. This is a team I don't think anyone's really pinning him to is the Atlanta Falcons. They have Kyle Pitts, they have Drake London, they have receiving core, they have a decent offense line, decent defense. He could sit behind Marcus Mariota for that year. You ride with Mariota at least one more year, and they're similar quarterbacks, so you don't necessarily have to adjust the offense completely. Matt Ryan is a statue quarterback, so whoever takes over as the head coach next year, whether it's Jeff Saturday or somebody else, you're going to have to accommodate your offense for a pocket passer. And then you have Anthony Richardson, who's a mobile quarterback. So you're going to have like kind of two completely different offenses. But if you go from Marcus Mariota to Anthony Richardson, that transition
It's kind of
is
the same.
yeah, it's kind of the same. It's a little easier. And then another team is the Seattle Seahawks. However, if the Seahawks draft him, he can sit behind Geno Smith.
I would love to see AR-15 taken at number 3 with the Seahawks and pair him up with DK Metcalf and
just make him
Kenneth
wait a
Walker.
year for Geno Smith another year. That'd be a nasty team.
Man, that would be disgusting.
Yeah. So I mean, those
I
are
don't
those
want
are two,
that to happen.
Those are two sleeper teams for me. Anywhere he goes, he's gonna have to at least sit a year. Hendon Hooker coming back from injury. I have a team in mind that I think is a perfect pick. We just talked about for him.
See, the thing with him is he's so old.
Yep, and the team I'm talking about likes old guys. So
Colts.
Yep, I think he's a good. Listen, he went to Tennessee. Peyton Manning went to Tennessee. I think he's a good pure thrower of the football. I think that's he's more ready to play than AR-15 right now. So say if Matt Ryan doesn't stay, and you can get Hendon Hooker in the second round, you take your first round pick and get somebody else and then Hendon Hooker in the second round. You could be pretty solid.
I don't know if I should trust this mock draft that I'm looking at right now.
What does it got?
They got Bijan Robinson going to the Cowboys.
When they've already paid Ezekiel Elliott and Tony Pollard.
Yeah, that makes 0 sense.
What are you looking at? What mock draft is this? Is it CBS or?
Yeah, this is a SB Nation.
Oh god!
Like, what? This might be the last time I ever come to this website. Cowboys makes 0 sense. They're set with Pollard, and they're paying out the behind for Ezekiel Elliott.
Yeah.
That makes 0 sense to me. Any trust that I did have in this site is now gone.
So, what do you have Hendon Hooker going to then? Best fit. He's going to slide to the second round because of the injury. So,
yeah. I mean, if Tampa Bay is going to take a quarterback, Hendon Hooker wouldn't be a terrible pick for them to take. Or maybe, I know, the Rams.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. The Rams. Need any quarterback. Matthew Stafford's old. Baker Mayfield's probably not going to be the long-term solution.
No.
Hendon Hooker, man. There's a lot of hookers in L.A.
There are, surprisingly.
Yeah. So,
like a lot.
Might
as well add another.
Yeah.
Yes, Charlie Sheen. Got tiger blood.
Yeah. Yeah, I could see the Rams being a good fit. Cooper, I mean, imagine being a quarterback who's 25, ready to start right away and going to Cooper Kupp and, company over there, Van Jefferson and stuff. Although I know you want a running back, but you could potentially, in the third round, get a Zach Evans or, Mohamed Ibrahim. So
I definitely would not, be mad at either of those.
But could you see the next name on the list who potentially is mulling the idea of going pro? Your favorite, Spencer Rattler. Imagine him in a Rams uniform. You're just going to get tortured. Sooners to the Rams.
Spencer Rattler will make a great backup quarterback for any team he goes to.
I think.
I don't know who would pick him up, honestly.
I don't think he's not going to start anywhere, but I think he'll back up. Who is he going to back up?
This NBC Sports has
Arizona
Will
Cardinals.
Anderson going to the Seahawks.
Yeah, the linebacker.
Like, what?
Will
They
Anderson.
need a quarterback, man.
You said,
No, I'm saying, like, yeah, Will Anderson. I'm saying they need a quarterback. Where?
Oh, gotcha, yeah. Yeah, Spencer
I
Rattler
would-
to Arizona.
I trust.
Back up.
I trust this more than that other one. But Spencer Rattler back up to Kyler Murray. I mean, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he's going to be a backup wherever he goes. So.
Yeah, he's definitely not starting, and he won't start anytime soon.
No.
Let me see what this. I just want to see what they have the Cowboys picking on here. See if maybe we're losing our minds. Maybe there's something we don't know.
Maybe we don't know.
There
Maybe.
we go. Clark Phillips, cornerback
From Utah. That's a pretty good pickup. He's a good corner.
That makes more sense because they need another cornerback. Because did you see what's his face Diggs bite on that Matt Ryan fake for a wide open TD?
Yes, I did.
Oh my god, that's exactly what everybody was talking about with him. Is
double moves get him every time.
He is 100% only there for interceptions. That's all he's there for. If he doesn't have 100% possibility for a interception, he's useless. Not useless, but
he's not top 5. If it's not.
Yeah, no, absolutely not.
All right.
Do you think the Bills need a new running back?
The Bills, they just drafted James.
They have Stingley.
They have Stingley. They just got James Cook. I don't know who they'd get because James Cook is their receiving back. If they go Jamari Gibbs.
Well, NBC has them getting Bijan Robinson. I don't know why. I don't understand this whole teams that are already set in stone with running backs or just drafted a running back while they have them on here drafting another running back.
I guess to add, to me, they either go offensive lineman or they go defensive lineman or linebacker.
In my opinion, Robinson is a starter as soon as he's drafted.
Yeah, no,
he's an
Depending on the
absolute.
team, he's not going to start over Saquon or
No,
Derrick Henry
no,
or
no,
Jonathan Taylor, but
I mean, he's not a guy you draft to have on your bench.
listen, if the Eagles don't sign Miles Sanders, if we get the 32nd, late pick, Bijan Robinson to the Eagles. Put it out in the atmosphere.
I hope he drops to the second round. And the Rams are able to pick him up.
No, y'all got Cam Akers, man. You're straight.
This one has the Seahawks taking Anthony Richardson.
Yeah.
The 20th pick.
Do they have 2 first-round picks too?
Yeah.
Oh, so then I could see Anthony Richardson.
I think they have the second round or the second draft pick, and they got that one from Denver.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah,
I don't know.
Trade. That'd be a good draft there to get Will Anderson, the number 1 linebacker, and then go and get an AR-15.
Yeah, if he's still on the board.
Yeah.
I can't really see. I don't see him dropping to 20, but if he, I don't know, he could.
He could.
I personally,
I think that when he goes to the right now, he's a borderline first round, like late first round pick. But I think when he goes to the combine and throws a pass for 90 yards, standing still, and runs a 4.3 40 and measures in at 240 pounds, 6'6" and 240 pounds, that teams are just going to be like drooling over it.
Yeah.
So
agreed.
Then we have the last one, Mr. Used Car Salesman Stetson Bennett.
I forgot about him.
Yeah, man, he's been in the league. He's 25, just like Hendon Hooker, just like Lamar Jackson. So,
unfortunately for him, I think he's going to drop.
I think he goes around 5 or 6. To be honest.
Yeah, he's not going to. He's going to be pissed because he thinks all of his meals should be free just because of who he is.
Yeah. Random team in the 5th or 6th round. Raiders. I can see it because the Raiders also like to steal money.
Yeah, they do.
All right. With that being said, let's go into our game predictions, guys. We again appreciate you guys for sticking around for almost 2 hours of the booth. This is a little longer of an episode that we normally have. So thank you guys. Let's get right into these games. We have the Thursday night game of Raiders versus Rams.
I've got the Rams.
All right.
I'm excited again.
Excited. Okay. I'm gonna go with the Rams. In a sense of just screw it.
Why
Rams.
not, right?
Yeah. Why not? Then we have the Eagles versus Giants.
Eagles.
Taking the Eagles as well. We have. Are you writing these down? As far as when we split. All right. We have the Jets versus Bills.
Bills.
I'm going Bills as well. So far we haven't really split. All right. We have the Browns versus the Bengals. Bengals. Going Bengals as well. We have the Texans versus the Cowboys.
I mean, we're not going to be splitting anytime soon, Cowboys.
Yeah, Cowboys as well. We have the Vikings versus the Lions.
Vikings.
Do I do it? I'm taking the Lions.
Yeah, it worked for you last week.
It worked for me last week. I'm taking the Lions. Then we have the Ravens versus Steelers.
Steelers.
I'm going with the Steelers as well because Lamar Jackson is
injured. Lamar.
The
heck?
Then we have the Jags versus the Titans.
I think Trevor Lawrence is out too. So I'm going to go with the... Hold on.
Yeah, look that one up real quick.
Let's see if he is out or not. Because if he's playing, the Jags are one of those teams where you just don't know. All right, looks like
he's day to day. He's set it up for in the air for Sunday.
All right, I'm taking Titans.
All right, I'll go with Titans as well. Although if he was healthy, I might have taken the Jags. We have the Chiefs versus the Broncos.
Let's ride to nowhere, Chiefs.
Chiefs as well. We have the Panthers versus Seahawks. I'm going Seahawks.
Seahawks.
Yeah. Buccaneers versus 49ers. I'm going Bucks.
I'll go 49ers.
All right, we'll split there. Dolphins versus Chargers.
Dolphins.
I'll take the Chargers there. Take the split. And then the last game, Patriots versus Cardinals.
Patriots.
I'll go Patriots as well. So we only split on a couple games this week. What's the tally up so far?
You are sitting at 12. Last week you were at 9. I am sitting at 14, and last week I was sitting at 11.
All right, so I'm only down by 2.
Creeping up.
All right, Taylor, I'll let you do the intro, or the outro, I should say. Outro.
Welcome to the booth, everybody.
Going to take it away before we end the show.
Thank you, everybody, for stopping by. We appreciate you guys hanging out with us for almost 2 hours here. It has been a pleasure discussing all of these topics with you guys listening. Please follow us on Spotify, Twitter, TikTok, and YouTube. Drop your comments, send us DMs, whatever it is. We'd like to hear it. We'd like to talk about it. Hope everybody has a great weekend coming up. Hopefully these games hit that you want to hit, and hopefully those parlays hit. With that, we are signing off.